All right, guys, we're back again. We got the Giants at the Reds. The Giants at 22 and 6 are on top of the National League. The Reds are down to seventh place. Reds are not a very good team. The Giants want to get another win here in hopes that the Cubs start losing. Bresnahan leads this off. Roger rolls a 13 for a 14 and takes his base. You might be wondering why he's leading off because he's a good hitter. That's why he's leading off. Here comes Mike Donlin. Bresnahan, do you have an 11? You don't, so we won't have you run. Donlin rolls a 45 for a 14, takes a ball, so Billy Campbell avoids walking Donlin. 16 strikeouts, 13 walks for Campbell this season, 3-3 record and a 1.63 ERA. There's a 55 for a 7. That'll be a single to right center. Donlin's hitting continues. Runners on first and second, nobody out. Here's Art Devlin. Devlin's hitting 305 for the Giants, and I mentioned them as, I described them as Little Murderers Row or Proto Murderers Row a while ago. And here they go again. 36 is the roll for Devlin for a 32. Fly ball right field. Mitchell has that for the out. One away. Fred Tenney now comes up. Tenney's hitting 322. There's no place to hide from this lineup. Tenney rolls a 43 for a 29. It's a comebacker over to Campbell. He throws to first, and both runners move up. Two away, and here comes Larry Doyle. Doyle's hitting 207. Maybe there's your place to hide. Still hitting fairly well, though. 10 men driven in. And he rolls a 56 for a 13, and he strikes out. We go to the bottom of the first. So the Giants threaten but do not score. Only one hit, by the way, and here's Hans Lobert for the Reds. Lobert rolls a 32 for a 26. It'll be a ground ball over to Doyle at second, who throws to first, one away. Mike Mitchell is up next. He'll roll a 51 for a 9. That's a single, but then he's caught trying to steal, so there will be two away, but one hit for Cincinnati. Here is Rudy Holswit. He rolls a 56 for a 34 pop-up to short, and Bridwell's got that for the out. We'll go to the top of the second inning. It's Spike Shannon leading this off for New York. Spike rolls. It's a 14 for a 43, and there is a little E roll. That roll will be a 43, so it's a fly ball to left. Shannon has that, one away. Al Bridwell comes up next. Al hitting 212, rolls a 55 for an 8. Ground ball over to short, and Holswith has it, throws to first. There's two away. Here's Cy Seymour. Cy rolls a 55 for an 8, and that'll be a fly ball this time over to Kane in center, and we go to the bottom of the second. So New York's still yet to score, and here comes John Gansel for the Reds. Gansel's roll is 34 for a 44. There is a little E roll. It's a 36. That's a roll out of the range. It's a fly ball over to Seymour in center field for New York, and there's one away. Dode Pasker comes up next, and he rolls a 65 for a 35. It's a foul ball to the left side. Devlin has that, and there's two away. Hooks Wiltsey, by the way, is the man who's up for pitching for the Giants. He's 4-1 with the 1.66 ERA. These ERAs are microscopic. I know it. And here's Miller Huggins, later known as a manager. He's hitting 218, and he rolls a 53 for an 18, changed to a 22. There'll be a ground ball over to Tenney. The first baseman flips over to Wiltsey, covering at the bag for the out. And we go to the top of the third inning. Here is Hooks, who comes up, hitting 095. And there's a 44 for an 8. That'll be a single, so he's hitting above a 100 now. Congratulations. And Wiltsey will be the slow-footed runner on at first base. That'll bring up Bresnahan. Bresnahan's hitting 368 in 1908. How about that? 11 driven in because he's been hitting leadoff all season long. He rolls a 21 for a 30. It's a fly ball to left. Pasker's got that for the out. There's one away. Mike Donlin now comes up, and he's hitting 366. So it's an amazing duo at the top. Donlin rolls a 66 for a 0. Here he goes again. This time it'll be a 32 for an 11. That's a single, sends Wiltsey to third, and then Donlin will steal second with Art Devlin up there. So one out, runners on at second and third. The infield comes in. Devlin will swing away. And the roll is a 62 for a 12. That's a strikeout, big strikeout by Billy Campbell, his second of the game. Two away, and here's Fred Tenney now. Two outs, rolls a 36 for a 30. Fly ball left field. Pasker's got that for the out. We go to the bottom of the third inning. Still no score. John Kane up there rolls a 25 for a 9. That'll be a single, and then a caught stealing for Kane. So the Reds have had 2 hits and 2 times caught stealing. One away, and here's Larry McLean. Rolls a 65 for a 35. There's a little E roll. The 52 out of the range. It's a pop-up over to the left side. Devlin, the third baseman, has that for the out, and there are 2 away. Here's Billy Campbell. Billy rolls a 22 for a 9. That's a single over shortstop, so the pitcher gets a hit here off of Hooks. That'll bring up Hans Lobert. I'm guessing that was a hook that didn't hook. Hans rolls a 42 for a 9. It's another single. That's an infield hit. And now the Reds are knocking on the door. Mike Mitchell now 4 hits for the Reds here, bottom of the 3rd inning. Hooks needs to get one over and one that they don't swing at. The roll's a 35 for a 40, changed to 39. That's going to be a line drive to third base. Devlin's got that for the out. And that'll do it. And we go to the top of the 4th. It'll be Larry Doyle here for the Giants. No score. Doyle, who's 0 for 1, rolls a 62 for a 12. There is a little E roll. And it'll be a 43. That's out of the range. It's a ground ball over to Gansel. The first baseman goes to the bag himself for the out. 1 away. Spike Shannon up there next. Rolls a 62. Whoops. See if I can type in the numbers correctly. It's a 62 for a 12. Another ground ball to Gansel, who does it himself. 2 gone. Here's Bridwell. Bridwell rolls a 35 for a 9. It's a pop-up left side, and it'll be Lobert. Hans Lobert grabs that for the out, and we go to the bottom of the 4th. Still no score. Rudy Holsworth leads this off, hitting 193 in that number 3 hole. He's not going to be there for long. Holsworth rolls a 32 for a 26. That's a ground ball to Doyle, who throws to first, and there's 1 away. John Gansel up there now, hitting a more respectable 256. He rolls a 35 for a 9. That's going to be a single for him, and then he's caught stealing again. So the Reds have had 5 hits. They've been caught twice because of the little C. I'm sorry, 3 times because of the little C. They just can't get it going. Dode Paskard now rolls a 15 for an 11. So there's the 6th single, and this time they steal successfully. Lots of stolen base attempts. 2 away, and here's Miller Huggins. 6 hits off of Wiltsey. And Huggins rolls an 11. Can you see that? There you go, an 11 for a 0. And the next roll is going to be a 62 for a 6. That's a double, and that'll score the runner, and that makes it a 1-0 game for Cincinnati. Here now is John Kane. So 1-0 Reds here, bottom of the 4th inning. Kane hitting 182 with a chance to drive one in. And he rolls a 42 for a 32. Weak fly ball right field, and Donlin has that for the out, and we go to the top of the 5th. The Reds now with 7 hits, 1 run scored. Cy Seymour will lead this off for the Giants. Billy Campbell, of course, still in there, pitching fairly well. And the roll is a 55 for an 8. There's a single for Seymour. You knew that was going to happen as soon as I said anything. So Seymour makes it a first. Here comes Hooks, who's 1 for 1 today. He's going to bunt. Hitting 136 now. That was a big jump in average, almost 50 points. And the roll is a 36 for a 13. That's going to be a foul strike. 13's, of course, all over the pitcher's card here. Next roll is a 62 for a 12. So it's a poor bunt, left side Lobert, and he throws over to Holsworth for the play at second, and they get the force. And there's 1 away. Here comes Roger Bresnahan. Roger now hitting 365. He's 0 for 1 with a walk. 496 on-base percentage. That's not too bad for a catcher, if I do say so myself. Bresnahan rolls a 32 for a 26. It's going to be a ground ball to second, and Huggins has that on to Holsworth for 1, but the relay is not in time, and there's 2 away. Here's Mike Donlin. Mike today 2 for 2, 2 singles, 371 the average, 396 the on-base percentage. Great player. And he rolls a 13 for a 40, and that's changed to 23, and that's going to be a stolen base by Bresnahan. I'm sorry, a balk, rather, by Campbell that allows Bresnahan to go to second. That's right, because we have 2 outs. So Donlin now with a chance to turn this into an RBI. He already has 26. And the roll is a 43 for a 29. That's a ground ball back to the first baseman, Gansel, who flips that over to Campbell for the out at first. And we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. The Giants still yet to score, and here's Larry McLean. Larry rolls a 52 for a 27. It's a ground ball to third. Devlin throws to first for the out, 1 away. Billy Campbell up there now. He rolls a 51 for a 22, changed to an 18. That's going to be an error on the shortstop by Bridwell, and so Campbell makes it to first. And here comes Hans Lobert. Runner on at first base, 1 out, bottom of the 5th. Lobert's roll is a 34 for a 44. Fly ball center field, and Seymour's got that for the out, 2 away. I know I could have done a hit and run, but I'm not going to do that with the pitcher. It's ridiculous. Mike Mitchell now, and he rolls a 15 for an 11. That's a good single over first. Campbell goes to third, and then Mitchell will steal second. So the Reds have it set up again, trying to score another run. And here is Rudy Holsworth. Runner is on at second and third, and only two outs, here in the bottom of the 5th. And the roll for Holsworth is a 33 for a 7. That's a single to left center. That'll score 2, and then Holsworth goes to second on the throw home. It's a 3-0 lead for Cincinnati. They've had 9 hits, and they've been hitting the ball all over the ballpark here. That'll bring up John Gansel for the Reds, and so they're playing better than expected, and Hooks is having some problems. And John's roll is a 56 for a 27. That'll be a ground ball to Devlin at third, and he goes to first for the out, and we go to the top of the sixth. I tell you, the fans who've shown up here today are voicing their pleasure over what the Reds have accomplished. Here's Art Devlin now. They're beating up on the league leaders. Devlin rolls a 46 for a 27. Ground ball third base. Lobert has it on to first, one away. Fred Tenney comes up next. He rolls a 22 for a 7. That'll be a single to right, and that'll bring up Larry Doyle. Everybody, of course, in the Giants can hit and run. So we'll see if it happens. And Doyle rolls a 66 for a 0. And then a 35 for a 6. That'll be a double to right field, scoring the runner easily, and that makes it a 3-1 game. Fasten your seatbelts. So Billy being knocked over the park there by Doyle, and here comes Spike Shannon, runner on at second. Shannon's driven in 7. Not hitting too poorly. Rolls a 44 for an 8, and that's a single over second, and that scores the runner, and Shannon has his next RBI. They'll bring up Bridwell. Now, the question is, with Shannon, do we do hit and run? He does have an 11. We could either hit and run or bunt. I prefer hitting and running. That's a personal preference, though I know the Giants bunted a lot in 1908. And so Bridwell rolls a 12 for a 24. It's a hit and run ground ball over to second. Huggins throws to first, and Shannon moves to second. 2 outs now. It'll be Cy Seymour. Runner on at second base. 2 men out. 3-2 Reds. Giants coming back. And Seymour rolls a 56 for a 34. It's a big pop-up over to second. Miller Huggins has that for the out. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th inning, and it's Dode Paskert to lead this off for Cincinnati. So Paskert so far today is 1 for 2. Does have one of those stolen bases that the Reds have. I think they have 2 now. And Hooks up there has not done a good job fooling these batters. And the roll for Paskert's a 15 for an 11. That's another single, and then followed by another stolen base. Here comes Miller Huggins, runner on at second. 10 hits for Cincinnati. Huggins rolls a 14. I see when we get over to that corner, it's kind of hard for that to show up, but that is a 14. If you can see that there, it's going to be kind of hard to see. There you go. There it is. It's a 14, which will be a 43. It's a fly ball over to left. Shannon has that for the out, 1 away. John Kane now, still with the runner on at second base. Could bunt with one of them, but why? You end up with Paskert on a third with 2 away. Might as well swing away. The rolls a 45 for a 14, and Hooks has given up his first walk of the game, number 22 of this season. That'll bring up Larry McLean. So, I mean, this is the question here, which is, do you bunt with him? Do you swing away? It doesn't make much sense to bunt because then you just get to Campbell. McLean's 0 for 2, hitting 214. And look at that. Rolls a 25 for a 9. So it's as good as a bunt. It's a ground ball over to Devlin. The third baseman throws to first, and there's 2 away here for Campbell. If Wiltsey was a D or a B, that would have been a base hit, and it would have been much different. 2 away. Here's Billy. He rolls a 35 for a 13, and down he goes, and we go to the top of the 7th inning. So Hooks Wiltsey will come up here for the Giants. Of course, we leave him in this ball game. Down 3-2, top of the 7th inning. This isn't that crucial of a game, but they want to build a lead over the Cubs if they can. Hooks rolls a 25 for an 8. There's a single to left center field, and so he makes it happen. That'll bring up Roger Bresnahan once again with the pitcher on. Now, Roger today is 0 for 2, grounded into that force out before, and he has walked. So we'll see what happens. 8 hits here for the Giants. And Roger rolls, that is a 53. Yes, that is a 53 for an 18. And that's going to be a ground ball over to Hulswith. The third baseman boots it, and that means that Bresnahan is safe at first, and Wiltsey goes over to third. That has the potential to be a big play here in this game. Here comes Mike Donlin. Bresnahan, as you know, does not have an 11. One of the few Giants players to not have the 11, but it doesn't matter. He can get himself on base. Donlin is a crazy good hitter. He's 2 for 3 today. And he rolls a 56 for a 34. It's going to be a pop-up over to Ganzel, the first baseman, for the first out, 1 away. Art Devlin now hitting just a hair under 300. And Art rolls a 42 for a 39. And that's going to be a stolen base there for Bresnahan. So Devlin's still up there. The infield should be in, and now I bring him in. Just realized I didn't do that. Roll for Devlin now is a 13 for a 14. That'll load him up. And that brings up Fred Tenney, and we're looking here at Campbell and thinking, do we think that he still has it in him? Now, in real life, of course, you wouldn't even consider taking him out, so perhaps that's what we're going to do here. We'll just leave him in. Penny, and that rolls a 55 for an A. That's going to be a base hit that will score 2, and Devlin goes all the way to third, and that makes us a 4-3 ball game. So that's what happens when you leave him in. He gets the roll that B would stop and a C doesn't, and it's now runners on at first and third with only 1 out for Larry Doyle. 9 hits for the New Yorkers, and I tell you, the 1908 Giants were one heck of a team. Larry Doyle comes up next, and he rolls a 62. You can see that here. We're having some problems. We're having some problems here with the visibility, and it's because of the darkness here. We're at a little bit of a rainstorm. 62 for a 12. It's going to be a ground ball over to the first baseman, Gansel, who throws to Holsworth at second for 1. Back to Gansel for the double play, and we go to the bottom of the 7th. That'll bring up Hans Lober here for the Reds. This is a tight ball game. See if we can make a little bit of an adjustment here to try to make this a little bit better. You can see my keyboard there in the background. We've had a couple of problems here as I've been trying to get used to the new computer setup with getting this set up in a way that is sort of to my liking. Here we go. That looks a little bit better, I think. Hans Lobert here to lead this off for the Reds, and he rolls a 52 for a 27. That'll be a ground ball over to Devlin. The third baseman throws to first, and there's 1 away. Mike Mitchell here, bottom of the 7th, 4-3 Giants. Mitchell's 2 for 3 today. Was caught stealing and then stole a base. He rolls a 13 for a 14, so he keeps getting on first base. That'll bring up Rudy Holsworth. Now, we know that Mitchell has an 11, and so we will hit and run. Holsworth hopes to make contact here, hitting only 198, and his rolls a 51 for a 9, and so that'll be a ground ball to short. Bridwell throws to first for the out. Mitchell moves to second. That's what they wanted, though. That brings up Gansel. He's only driven in 6. Johns rolls a 41 for a 28 ground ball again to Bridwell, who throws to first, and that does it. We go to the top of the 8th inning. Spike Shannon up here for the Giants. Spike rolls a 46 for a 29. That's going to be a comebacker back to Billy, who throws to first. There's 1 away. Al Bridwell now, and he rolls a 16 for a 26 ground ball, this time to second base, and Huggins has it on to first. 2 gone. And here comes Cy Seymour. Seymour today 1 for 3 with a single, hitting 211. Rolls a 12 for a 25. It'll be a ground ball to second. Huggins throws on to first, and we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Dode Paskert it is for the Reds. Rolls a 51 for a 9. That'll be a pop-up over the left side. Devlin's got that for the out. 1 gone. Here's Miller Huggins. Miller rolls a 21 for a 30. Fly ball this time to the left side, and Shannon's got that for the out. 2 gone. And it's John Kane for Cincinnati. He rolls an 11 for a 0. Let's see what happens. Next rolls an 11 for a 1, and that baby is gone. That's a home run over the right field fence. How about that? So Kane ends up doing it. He rolls 2 11s in a row, and that makes this a 4-4 ball game here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And don't sell the farm quite yet. That'll bring up Larry McLean. McLean rolls a 36 for a 33. That'll be a pop-up over to the left side. Doyle has that for the out, and we go to the top of the 9th. And now it is decision time. So Hooks comes up there, and the question is, do we leave him in or do we take him out? I mean, he's 2 for 3 today, hitting only 167, but he's had 2 base hits. You feel kind of bad taking the guy out in a situation like that. We'll leave him in. His rolls a 52 for a 27 as a ground ball over to Hans Lobert, who throws to first. There's 1 away. Roger Bresnahan now is 0 for 3, has reached twice on a walk and on an error, actually 3 times. He also reached on a fielder's choice. You go on base 3 times, you're 0 for 3. How about that? His roll is a 42 for a 14, and there's another walk, so he'll be an 0 for today, but he makes it to first. There's a runner on at first. Here's Mike Donlin, the famous Mike Donlin, and the question is, does he swing away or bunt? We'll have him swing away. And he rolls a 13 for a 40, changed to 36. It's a wild pitch. That moves Bresnahan up to second. And you're going to have to walk, I think, Donlin. So that's what we're going to do here. So it ends up being kind of a problem here as Bresnahan ends up going to second base. I'm going to make a little bit of a record of this here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to intentionally walk Donlin. And the reason why we want to do this, why we want to walk Mike Donlin, is because we want to set up that force play for a potential double play. So we say walk him as we just did. Now the roll was a 33. That would have been a 0, and that would have completely changed the course of this ball game. Instead, the Reds have a second life, so it may have been the best decision to make. Art Devlin comes up now. He's 0 for 3 today with a walk, and he's driven in 19 so far this season. I think we do swing away with him. I'm pretty sure he's hitting better than Tenney, but just watch. We'll find out that I'm wrong. Devlin comes up and rolls a 63 for a 31. Fly ball to center field. Kane's got it for the out, 2 away. And here comes up Fred Tenney. Yep, I was right. Look at that, hitting 328. Driven in 17. He's 2 for 4. And his roll's a 14 for a 43. Kind of a worthless roll. There's a little E, though, and it's a 36 without outside the range. It's a fly ball to left. Pasker's got that for the out, and we go to the bottom of the 9th. So the Reds somehow managed to get out of that one, and here comes Billy Campbell. The question is, do you leave him in or do you take him out? He's still pitching as a C. He's got that Q0. I think we leave him in. And look at that. He rolls an 11 for an 8. That's a base hit for Campbell. It's a single to left center field. That's a big hit for Billy. And that will bring up the top of the order in Hans Lober. Now, Campbell, as we've known today, since he got another hit, he's 2 for 4 today with was on an air as well. We know all too well today that he's a slow runner, but we're going to let him run for himself. That'll bring up Hans Lober. Now the question is, do you swing away or bunt? I think we bunt with Hans. Oh man, and this was, look at that, would have won the game, 66 for a 0. And then it's a 26 for a 6. So it ends up being a bunt over to the left side. Devlin throws over to Doyle, covering at first. That'll put Campbell up to second base. That's that risk that you take when you bunt. And now you know sort of the sad story of trying to bunt in this game, because you'll see what happens if you didn't. That would have ended the ball game right there. Mike Mitchell comes up now with a runner on his second, 1 out. 246 is Mitchell's average. He's driven in 10. It rolls a 42 for a 32. Fly ball to right field. Donlin has it for the out, and there's 2 away. Rudy Holsworth is up next. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. And he rolls a 42 for a 32. Same thing, same place. Donlin in right field has it for the out, and we'll go to the top of the 10th. Billy stayed in this game. Look, I was wrong about that. He's got a D now. So much for that. Here's Larry Doyle. Doyle rolls a 31 for an 8. That's a single. Then he's caught trying to steal second. There's 1 away. Spike Shannon up next. He rolls a 46 for a 29. Come back over to Campbell, who throws to first. There's 2 away. And here comes Al Bridwell. 2 outs, top of the 10th. Al rolls a 36 for a 14, and so he does get on base. And here comes Cy Seymour. And yet another base runner. 5 walks now for Campbell, so he's given up his share. Seymour rolls a 12 for a 25. It's a ground ball to second. Doyle flips over to Bridwell for the force, and we go to the bottom of the 10th inning. John Gansel comes up here now for the Reds. 1 for 4 today with the caught stealing, like so many others. Rolls a 54 for a 45. Fly ball to right. Donlin has that for the out. There's 1 away. Dode Pasker, the next batter. Dode rolls a 32 for a 26. That'll be a ground ball over to Doyle, who throws to first, and there's 2 gone. And here comes Miller Huggins, who's 1 for 4 with a double, drove 1 in. He rolls a 26 for a 32, fly ball to right field. Donlin has that for the out, and we go to the top of the 11th. And now here's your question. Do you leave him in or take him out? I think it's time to take him out. We'll put in Fred Merkel to pinch hit. Rolls a 44 for a 7, and that's a single to right field. So there was somebody on here who told me that if things had ended up differently here in the National League, we never hear of Fred Merkel. Well, or maybe if he played like this, I mean, he's been hitting crazy good. We'd hear a lot more about Fred Merkel and his talents. Merkel singles to right field, and that'll bring up Roger Bresnahan, top of the 11th inning. Tie ball game. Roger is 0 for 3, walked twice, and has been on with a error and a fielder's choice. He's been on every single time and doesn't get any credit for it. His roll is he flew out once too. His roll is a 12 for a 24. That's a ground ball to Holsworth on to Huggins for 1 and back on to first for the double play. 2 gone. Here comes Mike Donlin. Donlin today is 2 for 4 and was intentionally walked last time. Donlin rolls a 41 for a 28, ground ball to Holsworth. The shortstop throws to first, and we go to the bottom of the 11th. It'll be John Kane up here for the Reds. And Kane rolls a 32 for a 26. That's going to be Sorry. Let's make a little change here. We don't want Fred Merkle to pitch. We're going to keep the rule the same, I think. It'll be Bill Malarkey. Again, we do him a lot. I hate this system. There we go. So we'll do, again, a 32 for a 26. Kane hits a ground ball over to the second baseman, Doyle, who throws on to first for the out. One away. Larry McLean now comes up. And his rule is a 56 for a 34. There is a little E rule, however. And it's an 11. There you go. And that'll change it to 19. That's going to be an error on Devlin, the third baseman, and the smooth fielding for third baseman at that. That'll bring up Billy Campbell. And it's finally time, I think, to take him out, give him a rest. It'll be Mike Morey who comes up. McLean does not have that 11 that we like. If you swing away, you run into difficulty because you have a potential double play. If you bunt, Hans Lober comes up next. I'm not sure that he's necessarily a better hitter than Morey. That's the big question that we have. I mean, well, he's got a better on-base percentage, better slugging percentage. He has a better card. He hasn't been hitting that much better, at least recently. I think that's the thing that's kind of getting me. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bunt with Mike Morey, even though he's the pinch hitter, and see what we can do. And that would have been a base hit. He rolls a 25 for a 9. That's a bunt over to the left side. Devlin throws over to Doyle, covering the bag. So there's a lot of second guessing going on here because there are a lot of different things that can happen. I mean, do you bunt? Do you swing away? Right? I would guess that in this situation, this is probably the result that you would see, but I don't know. That'll bring up Hans Lobert, though, with a runner on his second base and a chance to drive in another one. He's only got 8 RBIs so far. The roll's a 23 for a 32. It's a fly ball to right field, and Donlin has that for the out. And that does that, and we'll go to the top of the 12th inning. Now the Reds have to rely on their bullpen, and that's a little bit easier said than done. I mean, do you want to put in Tozer? Do you want to put in Weimer? Probably Tozer. All right. Art Devlin to lead this off. The Reds have like nobody on this roster. Devlin rolls a 46 for a 27. Ground ball to the left side, and Lober throws to first. There's one gone. Fred Tenney now. Fred rolls a 34 for a 44. Next rolls a 16, so that'll be an error there on the third baseman, Lobert. Tenney finds a way to get on first, and that'll bring up Larry Doyle, and they're going to run, of course. Doyle today 2 for 5, rolls a 55 for an 8, and that's going to be a single against the C. Tenney moves over to third, and you got runners on the corners now with only one out. Infield comes in, and they're going to hit and run again. And it's Spike Shannon who rolls a 35 for a 42, and he's hit by a pitch. And that'll bring up Al Bridwell. So bases loaded now for Bridwell. One out, top of the 12th. And Al rolls a 31 for a 9. That's a fly ball to left field, and Paskert has that for the out. And that will score the run from third. That was hit deep enough by Bridwell, and that's what counts. And so this is now a 5-4 lead for the Giants. Here comes Cy Seymour. I thought at the beginning of this game this would be one of those simple victories, and there are no easy victories in 1908. 2 gone. Here's Seymour with 2 on. And the roll's a 36 for a 14. Tozer gives up the walk, and that'll bring up Malarkey, the pitcher. And now you have the question. So the question is, what do you do? Do you take him out and put in Taylor? Do you leave him in? Put on my John McGraw hat and say, yeah, we're going to have Snodgrass, maybe. We're going to have Buck Herzog pinch hit for him. That's what we're going to do here. Lots of second-guessing chances in this one. Here comes Herzog. And his roll is a 64 for a 14, and he's walked, and the run comes in. And here comes Roger Bresnahan, and Tozer's in trouble. 2 outs, bases loaded still. Bresnahan up there is 0 for 4 today. He grounded into a double play last time up. He's walked twice, though, and he reached 2 other times. Rolls a 61 for a 36, changed to a 39, and a runner's out stealing home. Boy, that's ridiculous. So one of the Giants decided to try to steal home. It's not that ridiculous. Remember, we've seen that happen in real life when we were looking at that famous World Series game in 1907. It could happen, but it's kind of unusual with a 6-4 lead to have that happen, but that's what's happened. I'm guessing there was a sign missed. Mike Mitchell here in the bottom of the 12th. Reds down by 2. He'll face Luther Taylor. The first roll is a 12 for a 24 ground ball to short. Bridwell on to first. There's one away. Rudy Holsworth now rolls a 45 for a 14 and he'll walk. That'll bring up John Gansel. And so there's something happening maybe for the Reds. I'll just play it safe sort of here. Gansel rolls a 46 for a 29. Come back over to Taylor, who turns around and throws to Bridwell covering at second. And there's two gone just like that. That brings up Dode Paskert. He's got 2 singles today, 2 stolen bases, hitting .239. And his roll is a 61 for a 27. It's a ground ball over to the third baseman, Devlin. He throws over to Doyle for the out at second, and that does it. So it's a second guesser's paradise, 30 minutes length of the game in real time. And the Giants win this one 6-4 in 12 innings over the Reds in a game that had a whole lot of interesting stuff and lots of intrigue. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll talk with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.